safety reasons. The Skeleton Coast is fully deserted for miles and miles ahead. It's not a good place for a car to break down. The Skeleton Coast is a lifeless piece of land, spanning for many miles. In its time, it has taken countless lives. It's usually really foggy here because it's where the hot desert air meets the cold air coming in from the Atlantic. The coast also has strong currents and rocks. The fortunate survivors of the shipwrecks that have taken place here throughout history would later die in the sand, since there are no signs of life for miles. People still find bones in the sand, but it's the shipwreck remains that this place is known for. They're hard to spot since most of the wreckage has been consumed by the sand. But the Edward Bullen shipwreck is a prime example. It's a German transport vessel that ran aground here at the beginning of the last century. Looking at this sand-covered wreck, it's hard to imagine that it once sailed. But remember, the desert never stops moving, and it can even overtake the ocean's territory. Today, this shipwreck is 500 meters away from the shoreline, and within a few decades, it will be fully consumed by the Namib Desert. The Zelia trawler, on the other hand, is the most well-preserved example. But that's only because it ran ashore in 2008. Now, it serves as home to seagulls and cormorants. I tried to leave as quickly as I could, just because of how depressing the place is. And then I came across this weird little plant. It looked dead, but in actuality, it is very alive. This plant, known as the Welwitschia mirabilis, thrives in places where plants usually can't grow, getting moisture from the fog. It also has a life expectancy of over 2,000 years. Okay, enough with the plants. Apparently, lions live here too. Can you believe that? It's kind of a miracle. They're called coastal lions, and somehow these guys learn to survive in the desert among the sand. They feed on antelopes and even seals. It's unfortunate that we didn't see any, but I think if you had a whole day to explore, it's not unreasonable to believe you would see some. The biology of the north of Namibia is quite different from the southern part of the country. It's full of lush greenery, which makes for a beautiful landscape. Whoa, I just saw a giraffe. First time in my life, seeing a giraffe in the wild. Guys, we are crushing it. Super cute. My plan was to leave the Animal Pack National Parks for the desert, but it just so happens that they are all over the place. You just drive around and you can spot them in every direction. But national parks are still worth a visit, since you can see near extinct animals. And it's where you can find the so-called Big Five of Africa. Those are elephants, buffaloes, lions, leopards, and rhinoceros. So, how about we go and look for these guys? Equipped with a lot of patience and a little bit of luck. Let's go photo hunting. I got checked and was asked to leave my drone at the entrance, which is standard practice. Now, we enter the largest national park of Namibia, called Etosha. Etosha covers both the park and the salt pan, which is its main feature. This place is huge. To give you some context, it's as big as Slovenia. Can you imagine a park the size of a country? And even though I'm only planning to spend a couple of days here, I'm confident that you could probably spend a week exploring it. I hope we'll have enough time. Etosha is home to 144 types of mammals, 340 kinds of birds, and an extensive variety of other wildlife that surrounds you in every direction. In fact, the national park is so big that there's a seasonal migration of animals within the park itself. So animals migrate across it depending on what season it is. Now, let me show you some shots I managed to take in my first day in Etosha. This park is known for its 1,500 strong giraffe population, which made finding them really easy. Then came the gnus and oryx, but we've already seen them. Etosha abounds with bird life. But since my bird knowledge is relatively non-existent, my attention was drawn to this little guy, the black-backed jackal, and a chipmunk-looking squirrel. Cute, isn't it? The national park has over 20 water holes, half of which are artificial, and the rest are natural. It's where all the animals go. Goodness, it really is a rhino. Crazy. I think it's the white rhino, and they're super rare. Man, we're so lucky. And luck is truly on our side, because you're looking at both the black and the white rhino, the largest of its kind. They can weigh up to 5 tons, and while they may have poor eyesight, their sense of smell is extraordinary. And I take it, this guy has just realized something. Despite being a dying breed, their population in Etosha slowly continues to grow as they are safe here. These are all of the interesting animals that I managed to spot on my first day. I would have stayed longer, but the gates close at 6, because I'll come more prepared. I bought a few maps and studied all the different water holes in the park, as well as the animals that are most often found there. And most importantly, I woke up early. I think I get it now. This photo hunting game is like a version of the lottery, where you're trying to get a great shot of an animal. If you go about it the right way, your chances increase of getting the shot. First, you need to wake up super early because all the animals only stay active before lunch. Afterwards, it gets too hot, and most animals sleep in the shade. Morning is when you have the best chance to see the wildlife. That's why I waited for the park gate to open and then headed straight for a water hole. I must say, it's quite a tedious process, but at the same time, it's extremely captivating. And back to the lottery analogy, you kind of bet on a water hole and then wait to see how it plays out. And that morning, I had a winning streak. All right, our first hit, it's a lion. He's so close to my car right now, about 10 meters away. This is unreal. When you meet a lion for the first time, you realize that this really is a true king of its surroundings. He doesn't even notice you. He just looks right through you. This is legit scary. Even though the doors are locked and the windows are up, when he gets close, your heart beats faster. The lion didn't come alone. They live in prides, which are like big families. And interestingly, it's the females that hunt the most. Males, on the other hand, concentrate on mating and protecting the territory, in particular from other lions. Each pride usually has a few males. This one had 2. They hung out for a bit, and then the king took off with his... But wait, there's more. I saw the king of the jungle take a dump. Seeing this was yet another first for me, and it was just a monumental moment. Utterly life-changing. Apparently, some other people saw elephants at the water hole 30 minutes ago. And in order to find them, I need to try to think like them. If I were an elephant, what would I do after drinking some water? You'd go chill out in the shade, right? Let's look for trees then, and elephants under them. You won't believe it, but this is exactly where I found them. Just under the trees, where they were shaded from the heat. Meet the Etosha elephants. They're considered to be the largest elephants in the world, and they need to eat a lot in order to maintain such a status. Each elephant consumes between 100 kilograms to 300 kilograms of plants a day. This is the exact opposite of seeing elephants at the zoo. Here you have to find them, and you only see them when they're really close, which makes it tough. But when you do find them, it's like coming across a treasured, pleasant prize. As you can probably imagine, I loved the photo safari this ended up being. I want more. I managed to see 3 animals out of the big 5 in a day and a half. And I have a feeling that I would have seen leopards too if I had more time. I'm happy with the outcome. You can maybe make the case that safaris in Kenya or Tanzania are better, but a national park of this size and with such a vast number of animals is a huge win for this country. I spent most of my time on the road and at campsites. You've got to admit, it would have been a shame not to spend a good amount of time at campsites with a vehicle like mine. But at the end of the trip, I decided to rent a lodge in a national park, just so you don't get the wrong impression that Namibia is only about